10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
I'm definitely
3,
getting an echo from
2,
you.
1.
This is Dynamation. This is Dynamation. This is Dynamation. This is Dynamation. Dynamation will be brought to the screen for the first time in color with the release of Columbia Pictures' The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. Dynamation is a new process which utilizes new technical and scientific advances in electronics and color to open up vast new vistas in motion picture entertainment. Some of this demonstration film is being projected in color, some in black and white. But the feature picture itself is entirely in color. Anything the mind can conceive can now be brought to the screen. As for example, this scene from The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, in which the Princess Parisa, played by Catherine Grant, is reduced to doll size by the magician Sakura. The outflung arm of the sleeping princess actually shrinks before your eyes. This effect was achieved by taking the camera back slowly for 40 feet. To prevent the slightest movement of the arm, Catherine Grant was tied to a stake, remaining motionless and scarcely even breathing. The pillow on which the princess sleeps while the magician is shrinking her was 25 feet high and 40 feet wide. It occupied one full corner of a soundstage in Madrid, Spain, where most of the picture was filmed. The princess, originally life-size, was reduced by shooting from 70 feet away. Finally, the various components of the sequence were put together in the Technicolor optical printer in London. In Dynamation, producer Charles Schneer and special effects expert Ray Harryhausen have combined animation, normal human action, and trick photo effects in color. Principal actors like Kerwin Matthews, who plays Sinbad, Catherine Grant, Richard Eyre, the genie of the magic lamp, and Torrin Thatcher, the magician, are used in combination with three-dimensional figurines. The process has been years on the drawing boards and in actual testing with color film. In The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, you will see the two-headed roc of the Arabian Nights' Tales, a bird with the wingspread of a jet airliner. You will see it attack a shipload of sailors and carry Sinbad away in its talons. You will see a fight to a finish between a 50-foot Cyclops and a 100-foot dragon. You will see an astonishing sword fight between Sinbad and a skeleton which comes to life at the magician's bidding. Every movement in this sequence was carefully plotted in advance, with precise markings for Sinbad and for insertion of the skeleton. Matthews, playing Sinbad, was coached by Italian Olympic fencing coach Enzo Greco in endless rehearsals, during which the fencing master stood in for the skeleton. Later, the actor had to pantomime his every move without his opponent. Then the skeleton was inserted via Dynamation to match the movements of the fencing instructor. The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad is the eighth wonder of the screen.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good golly, Miss Molly. Welcome to That 70s Rock Fan. And I was just thinking in that rather extensive introduction, there was less of a trailer, more of a documentary, that it was nice that they tied Taryn, the actress Taryn, down before they shrunk her arm. She was firmly secured to the bed, I believe. The things they had to do in those days for art. So anyway, welcome everybody for today's show. Ahoy there, I had written. Ahoy there was the entry. Ahoy there, fellow adventurers. Tonight we're going to sail the high seas of nostalgia mainly thanks to Imp.
I'm good for something.
That's right. Nostalgia, myth, and good old-fashioned movie magic as we dive into the legendary Sinbad trilogy from Columbia Pictures. The mighty mariner himself, Sinbad the sailor, brought to life in all his swashbuckling, monster-fighting, princess rescuing glory, stop-motion glory. Buckles are going to be swashed, I can promise you. Whatever that means, I've never been able to figure it out. But if you grew up on these films, as Imp and I were talking about some time ago, you already know the magic. And if you've never seen them, well, you should prepare to hoist anchor and discover something truly special. So welcome, everybody, to today's show. We are indeed talking the Sinbad movies. It's a poor joke, I know. So that's the end of that joke. That joke is now banished for the rest of the show. No, it's actually the three classic Sinbad films produced by Charles H. Schneer, featuring the masterful stop-motion wizardry of Ray Harryhausen. And these movies are the seventh Voyage of Sinbad, which was actually the fourth and fifth, but never mind. The Golden Voyage of Sinbad and The Eye of the Tiger. Dun, 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 dun. That actually wasn't used in the movie, which is a real disappointment. So 3 films, 3 epic journeys, and lots of monsters that we can throw our scimitars at. And already, Christian Delorme says he's become a member. I don't think he has. He's been a member at the high sticker level for very, 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 very many months. So thank you, Christian. Let me just highlight that before we get going. I noticed Tim's super chat as well. 5 months of membership from Christian. Bonjour, everybody. I'll get your package today, Brian. Mrs. And I'll take it from the master. I'll do a live unboxing after your show. So I did indeed send, as a high sticker member, I did send Christian some stuff to thank him. Other high stickers will be receiving stuff too. Thank you very much, my friend. Being a high sticker, you, of course, are entitled to this particular video.
What is high sticking?
High sticking happen when the guy take the stick, when he go like that. You don't do that.
You don't do that?
Oh, no, never, never.
Why not?
Against the rules.
So, thank you very much, Christian. But also our great friend Tim is here. And I thought I saw 2 super chats from Tim there. Maybe I was imagining things. Tim, FKHC 2005 for $2, and the golden shower from Sinbad. I thought of that joke because it's Caroline Munro. So there's a lot could be done with that. Thank you very much, though, Tim, and thank you for all your support of the channel. That you also deserve a video for that. But it's time for some music. Musical interlude there for us.
Sure, we'll call it that.
But so welcome. A prize for anybody in the chat who knows the television show that came from. It's a British one, so it may defeat many people. If you're in the chat, both here on YouTube or over on Rumble, here on Rumble too, welcome, first of all, but also please click that like button, share the stream out. Let's see if we can get a few more people into enjoy what we believe is fun. Isn't it fun, guys? Is this fun?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah. We have a lot of fun. We try to do the fun, light-hearted celebration stuff here. Leave the hard stuff to other channels. And another hot off the presses super chat. Thank you. You're helping to pay for my new studio setup. Super chats at this rate will pay for it in 4 years' time. $5 from Christian. My favorite dad joke. Why did the Siamese twins move to the UK? So the other one can drive it. Oh, very good. Very good. Left side, right side of the road. Joke. Thank you, Christian, my friend. You two are entitled to a video. I believe you told me the other day this is your favorite song.
Mm-hmm. 'Cause
Sure, Christian said he liked that kind of music. But, where were we before I was so rudely interrupted by people giving me money? Oh yeah, share the stream out and all that good stuff. Welcome everybody. Welcome though very much to my friends who have joined me today on this stream. First of all, the man whose entire idea this was, so that I can just stop talking for 2 hours now and let him take it over.
Hey, I didn't say
Imperitus.
that.
Hello.
I gotta stick.
No, you got to speak. You have to speak.
Oh, yeah. Yes, this was definitely my idea. I grew up with these movies, so
Yeah.
matter of fact, I just watched the 2 from the 70s last weekend before, something like that.
Well,
Every like I don't know, I'd say every 6 months or so, I'll just watch those 2 movies, and then usually follow it up with the original Clash of the Titans and Jason and the Argonauts.
oh God, yeah. Now we were. Well, we'll get into just a second. I just wanted to say, Christopher Moonlight, and welcome, Christopher. Good to see you, my friend. That was indeed from the Fast Show. That little clip of the whatever they call those musicians in Chile or whatever. A show that we'll definitely be doing on Cult Comedy Crew, although I may be the only person that on this panel that's ever seen it. So
Yeah, I never heard of it myself.
Classic.
That doesn't mean much of anything when it comes to me.
Classic British comedy. Good stuff. But also welcome to our dear friend and a man who I'm sure knows an awful lot about these movies, Daswolfen. John, how are you, mate?
I'm doing good. Yeah, it's. I saw the Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger in '77 in the theater, and I will never forget the Cali statue.
No, that wasn't Eye of the Tiger. That was Golden Voyage.
Golden Voyage.
Was that Golden Voyage?
Okay.
Yeah, Eye of the Tiger has the brass minotaur.
That's right, the brass minotaur
with the big brass hands.
Yeah.
You're right. That Cali scene is just knockout. It's absolutely.
I can't imagine how long it took him to do that.
That's right. The Eye of the Tiger had the stop motion saber-tooth tiger.
Yes, yeah.
And the Caliban with
the centaur and the minotaur.
Yeah.
But I mean, as Imp was saying, and we're not going to get too much into the technical details of how this stuff was done. There's quite a lot of explanations online about how the models, the stop motion, the filming of it with the background, and then having to go over the film again with the foreground, all that technical stuff. It took something like 4 months to make a 3-minute clip, basically, by Ray Harryhausen. So incredible stuff. So it's far too technical for me. We're just going to talk about some of the wonderful experiences in these movies. And yeah, we've already mentioned our 3. 7th Voyage of Sinbad, 1958. The Golden Voyage of Sinbad in 1973. And that one I saw in the cinema when it came out. I'm that old. And it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen at that time because I was 10. I was like, wow, this is incredible. And then Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger in 1978, which I also saw in the cinema. They were great. And I saw just about all of these Ray Harryhausens in the cinema. Not the first, not the ones from the 50s, but the later ones. So
the only one I saw in the theater was Clash of the Titans.
Saw that one too. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great movie. And where he took the one skeleton and turned it into multiples. It was more when we first started talking about doing this show, it was more about the television showings of these. That particularly, I mean, it was the same here, I imagine, but in the UK, every school holiday, when they put extra programming on during the day for kids, all of these movies would be on.
Yeah, I remember seeing them a lot in the holidays, like Thanksgiving weekend or even on Thanksgiving itself. It's between the 2 70s movies, because there's always I've seen the one from the 50s, but I don't remember seeing that one as much as a kid. But it was always it was always Golden Voyage and Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah.
And then followed up usually by 3 Godzilla movies. And it was always 3 Godzilla movies and always in the same order.
Good times. Look at the good shit we had.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I used to enjoy. My mother would say, "Why don't you get out and do something?" And I did later in the day, but that stuff was always on like in the morning. Usually, I'd watch. No, I've got to watch these 4 movies. I'll never see them again. But
Little did we know.
yeah, it was such great experiences. Today we're going to talk a bit about Ray Harryhausen and his career, but we'll probably we did want to focus on just the Sinbad movies because otherwise it's just too much stuff to cover.
Oh yeah.
They themselves have got some of his best moments in them. So I think what makes them so special, though, for me is they're actually great fantasy movies.
Yeah, they're good movies on top of the really good special effects.
Yeah, I mean they're. I think when people talk about the greatest fantasy movies of all time, these often get overlooked in favor of later stuff that we've seen. So there's a bit of a recency bias, I think, with fantasy stuff from the 80s and 90s and 2000s. These were, at the time, probably peak, certainly the first 2, peak fantasy. They had all the elements, the adventure, mystery, visual effects, magic, monsters, swashbuckling, all that was in there. I think they're fabulous. Journeys into mythical places. It's all there, I think. So, I think as fantasy movies, they need to be regarded and talked about in that sense, not just for the Ray Harryhausen stuff, which obviously was a huge component of it. So I'll throw some images up while we're not that one. Throw some images up while we're talking. There we go. So what are we talking about when we talk about Sinbad and these 3 movies? And we'll talk about which are our favorite ones later. I definitely have an order. That doesn't mean they're not all good, but I have an order. They are based on, and I'm not an expert or scholar in this respect in any means, on the 1001 Nights, or sometimes referred to as the Arabian Nights, Middle Eastern folk tales originating way back in the Middle Ages, first translated into French and then English in the 1700s. So many of the characters associated with the Arabian Nights were not necessarily part of the original tales, but were added by the translators later from other Arabian stories. But they included stuff like Aladdin and Ali Baba, Aladdin and the lamp. Lamps feature largely in these, lots of lamps. I love lamp. So all these characters have come out of these Arabian Nights tales, and what's interesting about them is, whilst it's Arabian mythology, they intersect with Indian and Hindu mythology and with Greek mythology, because it's all part of that ancient world. So the stories kind of intermingle with each other. Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves, as it were. These were all part of that collection of tales. And Sinbad the Sailor was an original Arabic tale, but it wasn't added till the Arabian Nights till about the 14th century. And Sinbad is a fictional mariner and the hero of a 7-voyage story cycle set in Baghdad between the years 786 and 809 AD. 8th and 9th stories have been added later by Western writers wishing to make new properties. And Sinbad himself has been, these voyages were through magical seas, through the Indian Ocean often, East Africa, South of Asia, magical realms, monsters, supernatural phenomena, and hot princesses. Always the hot princesses.
Yep.
Not seeing so much of that in current Islamic literature or movies, but the hot princesses were a big part of them. And there have been dozens of adaptations of Sinbad, animation, multiple media, so movies, animation, TV series, too many to recount. Obviously, lots of animated versions. And it's beloved of Hollywood because obviously it's in the public domain. Here's Sinbad and Popeye. Two sailors, two giant sailors meet. Two giants of the... so lots and lots of Sinbad. But yeah, the public domain part, I think, is important. Hollywood likes a free story.
Yeah, they do. Yes, they do.
So the best known, I think, and the best loved versions, I think we would agree, are the three Columbia Pictures adaptations that we're talking about today. I mean, we grew up with these, particularly because of the TV screenings.
Yeah. Like I said, I never saw any of the Sinbad movies in the theater.
Yeah.
Only saw them when they were shown on TV.
Indeed. And I think that's why they still stayed beloved even through the years, right up to even, maybe they're even showing them now. I don't know. Yeah, Douglas Fairbanks Jr. Made a great Sinbad. They'd call that brown face now, wouldn't they? Let's not go there. So anyway, the genius mastermind behind these, animator, writer, producer, art director, designer, special effects maestro, Ray Harryhausen, American born, but he was born in 1920, moved to the UK in 1960, got a British citizenship, lived to the ripe old age of 92, only died as recently as 2013, so a long life in the business with some of his collection there.
And we share a birthday.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
I hope you don't share the other day, the death day.
No. We just share the birthday and different year, of course.
I'm going to start calling you Ray. He was inspired to make his own models and stop motion short films by King Kong in 1933, which as a 13-year-old he saw in the cinema. And that inspiration led him to start doing that stuff, and also reaching out to Willis O'Brien, who did the effects for King Kong and many other movies, as a bit of a mentor to him. He became a mentor. They even worked together later briefly. So that got him into this stuff. And I can imagine, I mean, even as a kid, when I saw King Kong on TV, I thought, that's incredible, you know. What they did there, just iconic. He also was a big sci-fi guy, though, a lifelong friend of Ray Bradbury and many other science fiction authors. Him and Bradbury were pretty tight. In fact, his first major motion picture that Harryhausen worked on, it was in full charge of the effects, was Ray Bradbury's The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, which is a great movie, by the way,
Yep.
where the monster in this was the Redosaurus. Now, this was made in, 1953?
57.
57. Was it 57? So the age-old debate has been, when you look at that, is...
Oh, sorry. No, you're right. It was 53.
Yeah. And
20 million miles to Earth is 57.
yes. So the age-old debate is, because I don't think the first, you'll know, John, much more about this. So the first Godzilla didn't come out until 54.
Right.
So who influenced who? Because this it predated Godzilla, and it's doing a very similar thing. I don't know the lineage of the creation of the Godzilla stories. You've got to imagine that there was some crossover.
Yeah, the problem is that the effects are completely different.
Yeah, but
You
just
got that Toku, I can never say it, but
Yeah.
Basically the guy in the rubber suit.
giant
Completely
from
completely
stop
different.
motion.
Yeah, you got a completely different effects tree there going on.
Yeah, still
So-
looks a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, looks a bit, but you know, it's not. And nobody's claiming that anybody ripped anybody off. It's just It's interesting. These two lineages rose almost at the same time.
Yeah.
And this is a great movie for those who've never seen it. Yeah, it's black and white. So yeah, it's black and white and it's old fashioned, but it's still pretty neat. I love the old wood paneled wagon there. So that was the first one he worked on. That was a Ray Bradbury story, of course. His stop motion work was branded.
Actually, that wasn't the first one he worked on.
It was the first one he had full control.
Yeah, it's the first time he was full control. But his first one that he worked on was in college with George Powell. He worked on his shorts.
Yes. Well, he'd worked before, but he got full control of effects on this one.
And he was a major worker. He was major influencer on Mighty Joe Young.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So, but yeah, I mean, Ray Harryhausen himself we could do multiple hours on him.
Sorry, I'm getting distracted.
No, I'm just you've got to point these things out. I mean, I'm just an appreciator, not an expert. So
yeah.
But yeah, it's nice to have an introduction to Harryhausen because that's where we get the Sinbad stuff that we're focusing on today. And I find a lot of people, younger people particularly, may not have heard of these movies, or they may have heard the name, and that's it. So, he went on to brand this stop motion model animation Dynamation, and it did become hugely popular, hugely influential, sensational stuff. It was intricate. I can't say that word. Intricate. Nuclear. These models were painstakingly filmed over weeks and months and then incorporated into the live action with the various filming techniques to produce this kind of stuff, which as a kid, seeing these on TV or at the movies, it was like, wow. And I look back on these, I don't know about you guys, I look back on this stuff and people did get kind of turned away from this in the late 70s because of digital effects, like with Star Wars, which ironically competed with Eye of the Tiger. But I look at them now and I think there's a certain creepiness and eeriness and scariness about the fact it is stop motion. You know,
it does add a sort of aesthetic to it, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's a layer of unreality, which I found actually quite suspenseful and creepy, other than smooth digital stuff, you know.
Which actually worked for the skeleton scenes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's like the difference between cell animation and computer animation.
Yeah.
There's just something about cell animation that has a soul that can't be replicated in digital form.
Oh, I agree. It's something 100%. About, I mean, Read by Nature says the uncanny valley. It does feel uncanny to watch as opposed to some slick CGI digital thing.
I could definitely attest to that because I went back and watched an anime movie from 81 or 82. And in my opinion, it was in HD upscale, but it looks better than a lot of stuff that's being done today.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's so attractive when I look at it, and it gives me that little tingle of suspense because of the way they move. It's creepier than just Callie coming to life and moving in that slow way with the kind of almost jerky movements in a little sense is much scarier than CGI thing.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, and it wasn't just. I mean, as people were pointing out in the chat, there was more to it than the models and the stop motion. He did all the special effects. The filming of miniature, to make things look miniature. The special visual effects with throwing potions and invisibility. There was a myriad of effects, as well as the practical effects of ships crashing into other ships and so on. So he was not just the master of stop motion; it was everything, all the visual effects. So I've got to give him credit for that. some major hits. I mean, the sci-fi stuff was big early on. Earth versus the Flying Saucers. Love this movie.
Pretty sure I've seen that.
Probably. These were all on TV when I was a kid. So I love that. Yes. I should have picked the one where it's destroying the White House.
Yeah, that's classic.
That's a classic. Screw Independence Day. Ray Harryhausen did it first.
Yep.
20 Million Miles to Earth, which I think you mentioned.
Yeah.
John, yeah. Another great movie. So he was heavily into the sci-fi stuff at this point. Just look at that wonderful, wonderful monster in 20 Million Miles to Earth. Yeah. I was going to say I could mention certain politicians that might apply to them. I probably shouldn't go there. Jason and the Argonauts, major landmark in this for me in this stuff, and one again that was on TV all the time as a kid.
Oh yeah,
loved this movie, loved it. It had all the fantasy elements.
Yeah, it did.
That we then got to see. Not you didn't get that so much in the sci-fi ones. This had everything: mythology, voyage for looking for a thing, princesses, you name it, it's all in here. By this time, he's working with Charles Schneer, one of his lifelong production partners, who's quite important to him. Look at that! I mean, come on.
Talos.
Isn't that wonderful?
They also did such a great job with like getting things to be at scale.
Yes.
Like that miniature probably is maybe 6 inches to a foot, maybe.
Yeah.
And here it looks like it's, hundreds of feet tall.
Oh, incredible. Yeah. Love that.
Scale and perspective played a huge role in showcasing how big these things are supposed to be.
Yeah. After this stuff and after Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, he also went on to make another of my favorite movies for a couple of reasons. 1 million for Hammer Studios, 1 million years BC, with all the dinosaur stuff, way before Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
There's a few reasons to like this movie.
Yeah.
Only a few.
Only a few. It's official, ladies and gentlemen. 70s thinks 100-foot tall statue of a dude is amazing. It's a shame Gary isn't here today because he knows all about being chased by a large one-eyed monster. By the way, there is a poll in the chat for favorite monster from the seventh voyage. I'll put up polls for the other two movies when we get to them. Obviously, we're going to start with the seventh voyage. But yeah, the dino effects, which I'm pretty sure a guy like Spielberg would have looked at, and guys like
I would imagine so, yeah.
And say they probably grew up with this shit too. Loved it. It had to be super influential. And then later on, which I think may have been his last feature, but he kind of retired after this and just went into preserving his legacy in various ways. Clash of the Titans, which I again saw at the cinema, and I thought
that was driving.
Oh yeah, I thought it was freaking awesome. Loved it. Not so sure about Harry Hamlin, but yeah. Oh, Harry, you were okay. He's a bit LA Law, or whatever the show was.
Well, the funny thing too is if you look at these movies and you look at the castings of them, like you get a couple people, you're like, who?
Yeah. And
then you go, hey, wait a minute. The case in point with this one, you had Meredith Burgess.
Yeah. Well, the thing about Clash of the Titans, Maggie's, the studio, because of the success of the Sinbads, commercially gave him for the first time the chance to go out and hire expensive actors. So Laurence Olivier, Maggie Smith, Burgess Meredith. Yeah. So he had a higher budget for that part of the movie that he'd ever had before. So when Ursula Andress, perfect. Even Maggie back in her day wasn't that bad, but yeah, some great stuff in this. I have very fond memories of this movie. And a little bit of a still from that one. I mean, that's just such a great scene. Love it. However, box office wasn't bad for this. It actually did quite well. However, computer effects were becoming dominant. Studios saw it as an easier way to make stuff. They didn't want to spend 4 months making a 3-minute clip to go in a movie. So Harryhausen gracefully retired from feature making in order to preserve his legacy, and founded a foundation to look after all his stuff, and wrote books and ran seminars and mentored people. So he didn't disappear. He just went behind the scenes a bit more. So
he worked as a consultant on a lot of stuff, including Star Wars.
Yes, he was a consultant, because there's miniature work in a lot of these things.
Yeah.
So rather than being helming a movie, he went behind the scenes, but still hugely influential. However, it staggered me to learn that he was never nominated for even one special effects Oscar ever.
That's a bit of a travesty.
Come on. Yeah, Harry Hamlin was a bit of a Harry Hamlin was a heartthrob at that point. I remember it very well. He was good in the role. I didn't dislike him. So never got an Oscar nod, not even a win, not even a nod. Kraken from Clash of the Titans is something else. It absolutely is. Hugely influential though, and still celebrated today. And indeed, even in the last few days, new statues of his monsters have been getting put out by a company. So they're still hugely influential. So moving on to today, but we'll just in a second we'll do that. Let me just hide that while I set up the next. We have a super chat from our great friend Dustin. Keto Simple, obviously always welcome, my friend. Anytime you can make a show. $5, just a little something to get yourself something pretty. Well, it will pay for. I'll pay for a cable or something as I'm upgrading my studio. Doesn't look like it, but things are in disarray. And my picture's disappeared. I can't see my.
Frozen on that. You're frozen on my end.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. Am I back? Can you hear me?
I can hear
Well,
you.
I can hear you, but your picture is 100% gone now.
Let me turn my camera off. There we go. That's weird. Right. So that's the extremely fast run through Harryhausen, and his, as I say, we could do like John did with his Godzilla movies. We could do one.
Yeah, I could do a show on. I could do shows on Ray Harryhausen too. So,
well, indeed, we could do entire shows on him. I'd like to thank Dustin for that super chat though by playing some kind of celebratory clip.
I'm telling you for the last time. I happen to have my young son in the car, and I don't want to hear that kind of language.
Thank you, Dustin. So let's move on to, and we will as well as images, we'll have a few video clips. It's been extremely painful, as we all know, constructing some clips of the monsters from these movies because of copyright reasons. But I've managed to get together a few montage clips of them so we can at least see some of those monsters. So first up, 1958's The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. Slightly incorrectly titled, I believe. Not that I'm an expert because it was more based on the fourth and fifth voyages, but hey, it's Hollywood.
Yeah.
And I think at the time, this may well have set the standard for fantasy adventure movies. I'm trying to think of other ones before. I guess you could count your King Kongs and so on as being something like that. But It had, Kerwin Matthews as Sinbad, Torrin Thatcher as the sorcerer, Sakura, and of course, fire-breathing dragons, a cyclops, skeleton sword fight. And the first time this was a single skeleton. He then went on to duplicate that with multiples in later movies. Some of the most iconic moments in stop motion history, and his first color feature. And it did pretty damn well, I believe. He'd just come off the big hit of 20 Million Miles to Earth. He'd long been inspired by the Arabian Nights, particularly as it was free. But he saw that as the perfect vehicle for fantasy action, the Arabian Night stories and creature creations.
Yeah. And Catherine Grant.
Catherine Grant.
She was actually married to Bing Crosby for
That's right.
30 years.
Catherine Crosby.
Yeah.
Just showing some of the wonderful poster art we used to get back in the day. He wanted to get away from the sci-fi into fantasy, and he achieved it. So released December 17th, 1958, a budget of $650,000, which I guess was quite big at the time. However, made a US box office of 3.2 million, undoubtedly around the world made far more than that. One of the top grossing movies of that year. And it was a small one. There's a foreign language version. There was a team behind this, though. So produced by Charles H. Schneer, who produced several Harryhausen films. I think I don't know if he's the one in the middle or on the right. Anyway, I've never seen a picture of Charles H. Schneer before. He produced the 3 Sinbad movies for Harryhausen. And Harryhausen said of him, the secret to his success with Scheer was never agreeing. We were together for a long time. Charles loved fantasy, but we had many disagreements, which brought up that old saying, if two people think exactly alike, one of them is unnecessary. So they battled it out, and that was good for the movies. And the other guy in the picture here, because I think Harryhausen's the one on the left with the hat on. And I don't know whether Schneer's in the middle or the other guy, because I don't know. Nathan H. Duran was the director. So the 3 of them worked on a few things together, one of which was, one of the things that Duran had worked on that wasn't Harryhausen, I don't think, was Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, which is, if you've never seen it, is a fairly impressive movie, I have to say. I've always liked this one. I could never figure out if she was 50 feet tall or she had 50 feet, because both of those would be equally scary, I think. So Duran had worked on that movie, which was also a bit of a hit. And we have, I have to say, a great thank you to our friend Legalize Adulthood for a $25 super chat. I love Harryhausen films. Golden Voyage is the best. Caroline Monroe, enough said. I may well have the same views as you. We'll find out later. Thank you very much for that, Legalize. I appreciate all your support, mate.
Yeah,
you're always welcome on the streams too.
Eye of the Tiger has Jane Seymour. So
Jane Seymour. And we do like to see more of Jane. We do.
Yeah. It's kind of a hard
yeah. It's a hard call.
Yeah, it is.
So I got to play a little clip to thank Legalize for his efforts there. Let's have this one.
Well, so what? But what's wrong with being sexy? I mean, there's no trouble with sex.
Very appropriate with the discussion we were having. But yeah, Duran worked on this movie, but he was also a collaborator on a few things with Schneer and Harryhausen. It's always nice to have a team. The funny thing was that Harryhausen never really got director credits because of the way they worked with the Director Guild. Even though he directed large swathes of these movies, the other guy was on board for some of the live action stuff. Really, he should have had a co-director credit, but that's not how the guild worked. So you'll never see Harryhausen with the director credit, I don't think.
There's a lot of times he went uncredited because they wouldn't even credit the technical.
That's right.
Technical staff.
And they didn't in a lot of these old movies. You got like one page at the end of credits, and it didn't include that. Anyway, moving on from the big chick there. Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. The music, by the way, was by Bernard Herrmann in this one. So pretty heavyweight score. You know, Psycho and a lot of other movies like that. So didn't he do Taxi Driver as well? Moving forward. Bernard Herrmann worked with Hitchcock a lot as well. So pretty hefty score there. And the story of this one is Sinbad is, well, the story of all of them involves the same things. He's on a voyage looking for something. There's a princess, sometimes a prince. There are monsters. There's a villain. This one's more about getting the magic lamp back from the Cyclops. There's the wizard Sakura, who may or may not be a baddie at first. There's the shrunken princess Parisa. There's a quest to go do something. I mean, you'd have to say the story is pretty similar, all of them. There are just different elements of where they're going and different monsters thrown in. But this one involved, as I say, Gary should have been here. The one-eyed monsters are his specialty. The Cyclops, for instance, he had a thing for one-eyed monsters. Ray Harryhausen. Tiny princesses, didn't have just the effects of the monsters. The princess was shrunk. She goes into the lamp. All that stuff. So a lot of different things going on. The cast was Kerwin Matthews was Sinbad. They never had the same Sinbad twice.
No.
I think John Philip Law had a case that he could have done it again. That would have been good. But American actor who also starred in Harryhausen's The Three Worlds of Gulliver.
Which was the very next thing he did.
Indeed. Another television staple from my childhood. And a Mexican movie I've never seen but looks really interesting called Octoman with effects by Rick Baker.
I might have checked that one out.
I know. I'd never heard of it till I started looking this up. Octoman, starring Kerwin Matthews in his later career. Did a lot of TV stuff as well. And he's an okay Sinbad. He's perhaps could be said to be a little American, but you know. But he also starred, as you mentioned, the Princess Parisa is Catherine Grant. Catherine Grant, later to be, in fact, I think she was married to Bing at this point. Catherine Crosby. No idea what Bing saw in her.
No. Nothing.
Just don't get it at all.
No.
I mean, what could he possibly see in her? I don't know. And she sells it pretty well. She's got a lot of the work to do in this, pretending to be little most of the time, working with the genie. What I want to know is when she's in that little box there, is there a toilet in there?
I think when the cushion slips up.
That's right. Nobody ever thinks of these things. Anyway, what did Bing see in her? I just don't get it. Child actor, not child actor, sorry. She pretty much retired in the 1960s after marrying Bing and had kids or whatever. So her career kind of stopped then. She is seen here with the genie, played by Richard Eyre. I say Eyre, but who's still alive and kicking. I think he's the only one from this movie, age 79. He was a child actor, retired in 1960 though, and became a teacher. But he had appeared in dozens of television shows up to this point. I guess being a child actor, he didn't like it anymore. Sorry, go back a bit. But he was in shows like Wanted Dead or Alive, Gunsmoke, and Wagon Train, playing a cute kid that befriends gunmen, usually. So he's the genie, and the other, we're not going to go over every actor and actress in it, but the big bad, Sakura the magician, played by Torrin Thatcher, an accomplished British character actor whose career stretched back as far as 1927, played lots of villains in his time, like Sir Henry Morgan here in Blackbeard the Pirate. So that kind of thing. Looking rather buckled. His buckles are swashed in this one. But also made an appearance in Star Trek, the original series, specifically season 1, episode 21, The Return of the Archons. So been around the block a bit, and he made an excellent villain in this, I think. So the monsters, though, this is what everybody came for. So we have a Cyclops, and indeed a two-horned Cyclops at one point. This is the single-horned Cyclops. I will say it was one a man and one a woman. Maybe that's the difference between them. Never could figure that out. So the Cyclops here was on the island where they first get blown off course, and they land on Colossa, I think the island is. Counter the giant Cyclops. They rescue this magician, Sakura, that's there, who's stolen a magic lamp, but he loses it while escaping the Cyclops, and he does a nifty magic barrier thing to protect them. He's very keen on this lamp, as we know it's got a genie in it, but Sinbad's like, no, we're out of here. So I do happen to have a few clips of some of the monsters, so let's take a look at the Cyclops. So yeah, that was our introduction in the movie to the first of the monsters, Cyclops. Still pretty impressive. Not sure where the zip is in his furry trousers. So again, that's maybe why one's a male, one's a female. Single horn, double horn. Who knows? Great stuff, though. Love the Cyclops. In fact, we get another little. These are the lobby cards. Some of the lobby cards for it. That's he was a bit pink there, but the spears might have annoyed him, but they didn't really seem to do too much else. And here he is fighting the dragon later on, which may be the two-horned Cyclops, I believe. So there was, as we say, a two-horned Cyclops. Now, these are the pictures I found of statues that are being made of these. I haven't looked into them, who's making them, but they've got a series of these images available. So they must, Future of the Force seems to be the website. So they're making a lot of Harryhausen statues. Cool. Anyway, next up was the Snake Woman. Naga is where the Snake Women were supposed to come from, I think, in mythology. But Snake Woman, Parissa's handmaiden, snake-like being, half human and half serpent, more from Indian mythology than Arabian, I think, and just kind of tries to kill herself as well, which is weird. The serpent half tries to kill the other half. So this is a bit of a show that Sakura puts on for the king and the princes and so on. And we happen to have a little video of that too. Edited clips, he says. There we go. Serpent Woman clip coming right up.
It is impossible.
So yes, a nightmarish creation, I would say. There's that surreal quality of the movement of the tentacles, whatever. Just plus the score really adds to that piece. So I don't know. First time I ever saw it as a kid, I was like, "Wow, that's spooky." And I've since dated a few women that were like that. So. And she's strangely erotic as well for some reason. Come on, guys, is she erotic? What do you think? Yeah, imp seen worse.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah. So another super chat from our great friend Christian. So Christian's got his gift box. I sent him. I opened my gift box, Brian. Well done, mate, and thanks for the movies. My favorite Bronson movie. Looks like we're shy one horse. You got too many. I sent him a little gift box to my great channel supporter Christian with the custom CD mix CDs you get of some of my favorite stuff if you're a high sticker member. And I put a few other things in that box with him, but he's going to do an unboxing on that one. So thank you, Christian, for being a supporter of the channel. You deserve an old classic, I think, for a clip. Yes, the oldies but the goodies. I think that's my most played ever clip. I just love that. Slippery and flexible, says Read by Nature. I just don't quite know where you would hold on to. I'm sure you'd find something. The servant woman probably took. I mean, these would have taken weeks to accomplish. I think it's just, and she's erotic. Yeah, she's kind of erotic. It's that weird mixture. Should I? Shouldn't I? You know. So that was the next, and that was just a bit of a show for Sakura. I mean, she doesn't play a part in the story going forward. By this time he's scheming. He wants back to that island because he wants that lamp. He shrinks the princess by tying her to the bed. Oh no, that was what the movie makers did. They tied her to the bed and shrank her arm. They pulled back 40 feet the camera to make it look like her arm was shrinking. That's how they actually did it. It was as simple as that. So he claims that so his claim in this is that the shell of the giant bird, the roc, can restore the princess to full height. So they have a reason to go back to the island now, to Colossa. So Sinbad gets a crew, a bunch of mutinous scum and villainy who turn on him, but he has to rescue them from various sirens and so on. The main mutiny, but he puts them in their place eventually, Sinbad. And then they get to Colossa, where they face various dangers and split up to do various things. There's more encounters with the Cyclops who tried to cook them and put them in a cage and cook them. But they meet these rock creatures. First of all, the two-headed rock egg they find. So obviously they need the egg. So I often wondered, because I'd forgotten about that when I first watched it. I thought, how cruel. They're breaking that egg and killing these creatures. What have they ever done to them? Well, they needed the eggshell. So to restore the tiny princess. But of course, Big Rock, be it the mother or the father, probably the mother, Big Bad Rock isn't very keen on that whole thing. So that has some consequences. Yeah, so I agree with the chat. Queen Glamaz. It pissed me off when they killed the baby rock. I mean, they needed the egg, yes, but the eggshell. They didn't need to kill the baby rock. I guess they were going to eat it or something. But it was a bit. I thought, what are you doing that for? So I was taking it too seriously.
Yeah, some of that crew kind of deserved it.
Yeah, they deserve what happened to them later. Some of them getting cooked. Well, the Cyclops tries to cook them, of course. That Cyclops was a bit unfussy. He cooks them with their clothing on. I mean, he didn't even like strip them, skin them. Then just, I'll leave the clothes on. Seasoning. So they deserve what they got. Some of them, they were pretty. I mean, they were. He did hire a bunch of criminals to go in this way. So, Christian again, my friend. So Christian Delorme, our great pal, our great buddy. One last interjection. It's Pope's birthday today. Maybe that's why he's not able to make it today. Happy birthday, Pope. 12 today. 12 at last. Thank you, Christian, for that. I don't know if I've got anything suitable for a birthday here. Clip-wise. I don't think I do.
Take him to Detroit.
No! No, not Detroit! No! No, please! Anything but that! No!
If I had my way, Pope, that would be your birthday present. I'd send you to Detroit. So, thank you for that, Christian. Thank you, everybody, for the chats as well. Lots of great comments about these movies. I can't keep up with all of them. Self-producing, of course. So, I am seeing them. I just can't highlight them all. But thank you, guys, for chatting about these movies, these wonderful movies. You're going to be talking about a lot of stuff I won't be able to fit into this rather short appreciation of them. So thank you, though, for doing that. So back to the monsters. Well, we had the little baby rocks. We'll have to pour one out for them. And then the fight with the big rocks, which showed that the great example of how they fitted the live action work into the scene with all that intricate ways that they filmed with backdrops and then foregrounds, running the film through again, etc. All just a very complex thing, but it actually came out pretty good when you look at it like that. Fooled me as a kid. So Big Rock, the two-headed bird. So how does that work? Maybe it's like that poor girl that's got two heads. It's who takes control? Who's running the show? Who decides what you're having for dinner? Well,
when you're a bird that big, it's whatever you want.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I know what we'll have for dinner. Sailors. So, giant two-headed vulture. That's a slightly more colorful version. And then there was the dragon. So, which was really acting as Sakura's guard dog. He's got him chained up in the cave where he's got his base and his stuff's going on. But this time they're all fighting over the lamp. The lamp. The princess has made a promise to the genie that she'll get him out of the lamp and keep him out. Sakura's still after the lamp, etc. So there's a lot of back and forward there with that. Or if they don't agree, well, one controls one wing. How would you get them to fly? The dragon I thought was really good. I love the dragon. Especially as there's the two-horned Cyclops there. I don't know why there was a change between the earlier one horn and the two horn, other than to say they're different Cyclopses, I guess. So they have the big climactic fight. The dragon apparently was somewhat based on the model and used components of the model for the Redosaurus from Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. And I think he did do that. He reused certain models. You would save time, etc. So, great fight at the end, which we're going to take a little look at. In fact, we'll do that now, and then we'll talk about the skeletons. So we have the dragon. We'll do the dragon first. Oops. There we go. So they could have made a movie out of that called How to Chain Your Dragon. No drum roll? Nobody? No.
No.
Wait a minute, I never use these, but apparently I do have a drum roll. There you go. No one's getting my humor today. Right. The other big one that everyone remembers was this was the first appearance, I think, in a Harryhausen of the living skeleton warrior, which was quite an extensive sequence in the movie. Sakura, of course, wanting to keep the magic lamp for himself, unleashes the skeletal warrior to fight Sinbad, and then they have to defeat it to get out of the lair. Excellent sequence, absolutely, totally memorable, and then one that Harryhausen was going to replicate in later movies with more skeletons. Quite rightly, of course. We have a little clip of that too. Yeah, here we go. So let's have a look at what that looked like on screen. It's a vegan. You can tell that skeleton's a vegan. I love how they actually stand and watch it for a while it gets the sword instead of attacking it straight away. I'll make no bones about it. The skeleton is one of everyone's favorites. It does, for me, that shows the difficulty the actors had. John's babysitting. The actors had in having to do all that fighting and whatever without the actual creature to be seen, and then marrying all of that together later. So the actors had to really, put their, I've got a sword here, shield here, the face has got, the reaction is going to be a certain reaction. That stuff was very carefully worked out. And I think the actors do a great job in these. You can see occasionally, particularly in the third movie, Patrick Wayne's favorite stance is just like this, staring into the distance. I can't see it, I know, because my camera's not working. He just kind of stares at what's going on and doesn't react as much. So I'll try switching the camera on again. No, still black. Never mind. So living skeleton, and then what came, we touched on it earlier, but there's the climactic fight between the Cyclops and the dragon, which is pretty good stuff. I love that stuff. I love the giant crossbow, which they use. You see them rolling it onto the beach. It's actually a model, but they do have a large crossbow bolt they're carrying, which was real. But the giant crossbow is one of my favorite things. It's not a very flexible weapon, because once you've pointed it, that's it. You got the thing you're trying to hit has got to be in front of you. But it was pretty neat to see it shooting the dragon at the end. And then I do have another image, just I'm not quite sure why, but I've got that. There you go. So 7th Voyage of Sinbad, pretty startling stuff that people hadn't seen before. It was a big hit. There is a poll in the chat. You have a key, if you've got the chance, I'll give you a few more seconds to vote on that, and then I'll finish that, and I'll have to set another one up for the next movie. This is the seventh voyage, best 7th voyage monster. So I'll just give you a second or two to do that, and then I'll be setting up our chat about the golden voyage of Sinbad. Hey. So ending the poll now. Let's see what the vote was if it didn't disappear. Where has that gone? Oh, don't tell me that hasn't worked. Technical do. Oh, there it is. It's in the chat now. So the result is in the chat now. For some reason, a horrible reason, I thought that wasn't going to work. So, best 7th voyage monster, the skeleton warrior comes out on top at 38%. I couldn't disagree with that. Cyclops at 35%, the dragon at 16%, and the snake woman at 9%. You're all bigoted against snake women, you misogynists. But fair enough. So Skeleton Warrior wins. And why not? It was a fabulous effect. Super scary. So we're going to move on to movie number 2, The Golden Warrior. Sinbad and the Golden Warrior. And we're going to start by showing it was remarkably a non-copyrighted trailer, which is... which I'm not going to argue about. So the Golden Voyage of Sinbad trailer coming right up. Oh, sorry, that's not it. If I showed that right now, that's the full movie, then we would be in trouble. No, he's back. I'm just manipulating stuff here. There we go. Share video. Trailers, that's what I'm looking for. You see the high production values you have here. With my new studio, I'll have a 3rd screen on the wall. I'll have 3 screens. I'll have more screens open so I can see what the hell's open. Right, here we go. The trailer for the Golden Voyage of Sinbad.
Sorcerer of the black arts, the gold helmet faceless vizier, the death fight of the centaur on the griffin, the 6-armed goddess of evil. The flying homunculus. The savage siren on a rampage. duel with the vanishing sorcerer. The one-eyed centaur. The oracle of all knowledge. The fountain of destiny.
Oh, I love that trailer. Paul is in the chat now for the best monster of this movie. We'll keep it running throughout the discussion on it. So, Sinbad movie number 2, Golden Voyage of Sinbad. Excuse me. 15 years later than the first one. Slight gap. You've got John Philip Law playing putting the turban on and playing Sinbad. You've got the great Tom Baker playing the horrible villain. Well, he's not that horrible. He's just nicely sinister. He's not really horrible. Well, he's kind of Prince Kura. You've got Caroline Munro, say no more. And you get lots of terrifying and mesmerizing monsters. Kali. You've got the centaur. You've got the Griffin. I've spelt Griffin a certain way in the poll just because I was in a hurry, because you can spell it lots of other ways. And the siren, the ship siren. There's a few other things in this, and you saw a great deal of the special effects in there that are on top of the monsters as well. So Harryhausen wanted to go back to the Arabian Nights again because it's free, but because he'd had success in '58 with it, and he'd tailed off a bit in the later '60s. He wasn't having quite the traction. So let's go back to a property we know works and we haven't done for a while. Tim, thank you, my friend. $2. One-eyed centaur, any relation to the one-eyed snake? We would have to ask Gary Kissel, our friend. He might know. The one-eyed cat peeping in the seafood store, as the song goes. Thank you very much for the $2, my friend. It's helps very much. I do appreciate it very much. So let's play you a little bit of a video.
There's no more than what God gave me, you Puritan pukes.
Speaking of one-eyed monsters, so yes. So back to the Arabian Nights, back to Sinbad, figuring it would give them success, and it worked, actually. So director this time is a guy called Gordon Hessler, who, just look at some of this great art. Where are we going further? Dynarama means supreme adventure. So this is 73, so still pre-digital Star Wars, pre-Star Wars, pre all that stuff. So it's still the height of fantasy special effects in many ways. Obviously, you'd had your 2001s and so on, but from a fantasy perspective, unbeatable. Beautiful poster art. And I think John Philip Law, for me, really nailed the role out of the three movies. He's the best, I think, the best Sinbad. I always thought it was Terence Stamp when I saw him at first, because Terence Stamp looks a bit like this too. So going back to the people involved this time, director's a guy called Gordon Hessler, who'd worked in a lot of TV, but also directed movies for Roger Corman's American International. So B-movie horror stuff like The Oblong Box with Vincent Price and Christopher Lee, and another movie I like called Scream and Scream Again. Worked a lot with those horror guys. And the movie itself was released on January 25th, 1974. Let's scream and scream again. 1974 in the UK, March 8th, 74 in the USA. Budget this time a massive $980,000, but made 11 million US at the box office. Budget of 980,000, massive box office of 11 million US, but around the world, it's hard to get figures in it, but I've got to imagine it was about 3 times that, 2 or 3 times that. Huge success for them. Thank you very much again, Legalize Adulthood. If I can get my mouse to work. Having all sorts of technical issues here today. I'm sorry about that. That's why I'm building a new studio. I've got a new streaming PC. I'll be stopping using this laptop. I just need to set it up. Video-wise, for Legalize, I'd like to play you. So trust in Allah, but tie up your camel. Yeah. There's a lot of, because it's an Arabic story, there's lots of praise to Allah and this and so on. So it's actually kept a lot of that stuff in there. It hasn't westernized it too much.
This one's really also a lot of Indian mythos.
Yes.
Hindi tales and stuff like Kalis. That's Hindi. A lot of the imagery and stuff is taken from India.
Yeah. It is. They've certainly incorporated a lot of that. I think just to play something to thank our great friend Legalize Adulthood. Let's have the
Sweetheart, we're married.
Consider that a divorce.
Never gets tired, never gets old. What can go wrong with Christopher Lee and Vincent Price? Exactly. So anyway, the director had some experience in horror and lower budget horror stuff. He was doing the live action. Harryhausen was still the brains behind a lot of it. Did extremely well at the box office. Won the first ever Saturn Award for Best Fantasy Film. Now, the writer on this one, co-writer with Harryhausen, was a guy called Brian Clemens. You can see him here. Written by a British writer, Brian Clemens, an absolute legend in my eyes. I'm a big Brian Clemens fan. He created and wrote some of my favorite television shows ever, including the Avengers, not that silly one they make now with these superheroes, but the original British show, which was fabulous. Professionals, which there is a link to this movie. Martin Shaw, who's on the right-hand side there, is in the Golden Voyage of Sinbad. Or is he in the next one? I can't remember. He's in one of them. He's either in this or he's in the Eye of the Tiger. He's in the Eye of the Tiger. Sorry. No, he's in Golden Voyage. I don't know. Anyway, and also made The Persuaders and a bunch of other British TV stuff. So great writer. I really like him. He also apparently was slated to write a movie which never got made called, I think it was called Highlander 2.
Yeah, that prototype they were working on.
Luckily, yeah, he was actually, luckily for him, he never ended up having to make it because it didn't happen. There's no such movie as Highlander 2. So he didn't have to put it on his resume because it doesn't exist. So enough of the Highlander 2 hate because it didn't exist. How can you hate a movie that didn't exist? Hang on a sec. I have thousands of pages of notes, by the way, so you just got to stick with me, Willem, because I don't memorize all this, believe it or not. The music this time was by Miklos Rusa, who did stuff like, he did hundreds of movies, El Cid, Ben-Hur, many others. So again, I think they really got a really good crew on this and a really good cast, and it really nailed it. It is my favorite of the three, without a doubt.
Oh yeah, same here.
Yeah. So the cast and again, we won't cover all of them, but some of the key ones. Obviously, Sinbad was played by John Philip Law at this time, and they never returned to the same actor. I don't know whether that was just a thing or for some whatever reason, but they didn't. I think he is pretty good in this role. Even he looks the part to me. So, American actor. Sinbad probably was his biggest, most famous role, but he'd also been in a few other things. This is a great lobby card where he's talking to the prince with no face. He was in the film called, which you've never seen, is a really funny comedy called The Russians Are Coming. Milos Forman movie with Alan Arkin and a bunch of other people. So he made a bit of a splash in that. Awesome in Death Rides a Horse as a gunfighter with the great Lee Van Cleef. A great spaghetti western role for him there. Great movie. And not sure what anybody ever makes of Barbarella, but he was the blind angel Pygar in Barbarella, seen here with Jane Fonda. I don't know if you want somebody blind flying you around. But anyway, a memorable role for him there. But, he was in Space Mutiny too. I didn't know that. But, or did Brian Clemens write Space Mutiny? Yeah, I agree. Read by Nature's Nail. I'm sure they meant the series to be Highlander 2. That explains the odd numbering, skipping that one number. Absolutely. So John Philip Law had quite a few major parts to this point. Don't know if he ever really hit the heights after Sinbad, but he certainly nailed the Sinbad role. However, we all know what we're here for. Are we here for that, guys?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
The great, and still with us to this day, thank you, Caroline Munro, Morgiana, Sinbad's dream slave girl. This guy had some really good dreams. I don't know what it is about this picture, but never has anyone sweated as well as that. Caroline Munro, we love you, Caroline. If you're watching this, which is far-fetched that you would be watching this, star of multiple great Hammer horror movies, amongst other things. Many, many great movies and TV appearances. Wonderful actress. Great appreciator of the fandom as well. She loves the fans of stuff. So she's also a trustee of the Harryhausen Foundation, helping preserve his legacy. That's how much he liked her. So. I don't know what he saw in her.
No idea.
But also in this magnificent villain in this, Tom Baker, the legend that is Tom Baker. And this is before Doctor Who. Prince Kura. He is a baddie. I think you figured that out pretty early. Looks the part, sounds the part, magnificent acting. It really, these guys all raised the game in a big way for this. Obviously known for being the fourth Doctor. There's a lot of Doctor Who, because the last two movies were made in Britain. There's a lot of people that were in Doctor Who in big and small parts. Beloved as being the fourth Doctor, still with us to this day as well. At what is he, 90 or something? Or
yeah, something like that.
Yeah. But for anyone who's never seen it, everyone knows him as Doctor Who. Before Sinbad, he played Rasputin, lover of the Russian Queen, as the song goes. For anyone who hasn't seen it, it's 1971's Nicholas and Alexandra. He plays Rasputin, and he's batshit crazy, but in a good way. And this performance is just magnificent. So go watch that movie just for Tom Baker. And apparently, being in the Sinbad movie did help get him the Doctor Who role. So, Another guy who's not necessarily obviously in it because he didn't get a credit at the time is Robert Shaw. Quint is the oracle of all knowledge in this. So a pretty heavyweight actor to have doing what is basically a voice-only part, really, in most ways. And obviously, magnificent, legendary British actor who left us far too soon in 1978. Here he is in From Russia with Love. Obviously, The Sting was another huge movie. So this guy was a big star even then to be in this movie. And then, of course, Quint in Jaws, which I appear not to have a picture of. Forgive me. It's funny because I thought I had one. And I don't see it now in my list of pictures. Never mind. Anyway, Quint. Oh, I know why. It's out of sequence. There you go. So I do like the blackboard behind him. It's always a good one. This is a diagram of how it works. So, excellent cast. Absolute brilliant cast. I don't want to go over too many of the cast, but as I mentioned earlier, Martin Shaw, no relation to Robert Shaw, who's seen with Sinbad here, who plays Rakid, his loyal crew member. He was played by a guy called Martin Shaw, who was the star of Brian Clemens' The Professionals TV show a couple of years later. I loved this show. Like, it was high action. They were like secret agent guys blowing. There was a car blew up every week, inevitably. It's how they get warm. You know, let's blow a car up. He has the greatest haircut in this one. You can see him on the left there. That's Martin Shaw, and he does a pretty damn good job in this movie, I think, even though he's really got like I'm just the sidekick to Sinbad type role. But yeah, great show, The Professionals, if you've never seen it. Look out, Gav, he's got a shooter. That kind of thing, you know. So a great cast, the monsters or the creatures, and there was a few different ones in this. There's the homunculus, tiny flying humanoid kind of thing, which creates the big oopsie at the beginning by dropping the amulet that everyone's after, which well, certainly Tom Baker's character's after. You can see him there again. It's just a kind of little humanoid lizardy dragon thing. Could be held on your arm. But one of my favorites, everybody's favorites, I guess, and still to this day, a huge favorite character of mine, or monster of mine, monster of mine in this. And given that she's made of wood, she looks fairly excited in this scene. It must have been cold out in that figurehead, being a figurehead out in that ship, is the siren. Ship figurehead comes to life. I don't know, it's possibly my favorite of all the creatures. I love the way that she creaks and groans as Tom Baker's character inhabits it and turns her to life. It's absolutely fabulous. So we've got a little clip of that to show. What? Oh, there we go. Edit clips. The siren. Here we go. I just absolutely loved it. The sound effects as well, they were cracking away from it. It just sounded so good. Because what he's trying to do here, Tom Baker, is to get her to go and get the amulet, which Sinbad's got. Yeah, I just love that. That whole sequence is just phenomenal. As Queen Glamazona says, Kirk Christian was the best character in the film. He played Huron, the lazy crewman who unexpectedly becomes heroic and saves Sinbad's life. Yeah, he had the character arc because he was kind of forced on Sinbad to take him with him. Didn't really want to take him. He had a hangover, whatever. But he does become more than he started and becomes a hero in the end. Yes, great. Well pointed out. Great character. I tried not to cover every character in detail because I got a cut-off point in these shows. If I was doing each movie individually, we would have had a lot more material from each movie. But anyway, back to the monsters. We've got another one of everyone's favorites, Kali, Hindu goddess as well. Hindu with very useful 6 arms. I mean, think of the number of sandwiches you could make with 6 arms. Crickets. There's got to be a reaction to that, you know. Come on. I'm going to make a terrible joke like that. But Kali, yeah, everyone loved this sequence. Just so good. And filmed in different little different pieces of her waking up, her given the sword, and then 6 swords, the arms, swords coming out of the arms, and then fighting in different levels. Kind of like the skeleton in the first movie, kind of defeated in a sort of anticlimactic way, I find. Yeah, you know, she just broke. but the dancing scene, oh yeah, well, we're going to get a little bit of that coming up too. We have some Kali, just brilliant, and you see all the elements in here. Kali herself, with the months of work it took to make that. People in the foreground fighting, stuff going on in the background, making it look like a complete scene filmed at one time. Looks absolutely beautiful. So let's take a look at the Kali scenes. There we go. Yeah, the detail's wonderful. As Queen Glamazona says, she bobs her head, the legs go out for the dance, just wonderful. This stuff, yeah. So they could have just... Stop. What's interesting for me is that the makers of the movie could have said, we'll just get her to come to life and fight, but they gave her that dance scene as well. It's just wonderful stuff. They're fighting behind her. Yeah, and there's Huron pushing him off pushing Kali off, and she breaks open, and lo and behold, there's another amulet inside.
That's probably his finest work, is the work he did with Kali.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's as people in the chat like Queen are saying, the dancing part is just phenomenal. Tom Baker's character could have just, or the filmmakers could have just said, wake up, go fight the Sinbad and his crew. But no, there was this whole... Now, it was to impress the people worshipping Kali, I think, but still, all that stuff was put in there kind of unnecessarily, but it's beautiful in the movie, and it's the best part, yeah. And the other thing about that is we saw a little bit of there is when Tom Baker controls these creatures, every time he does it, he loses a bit of his life force. So the different makeup effects, he starts to age. It takes a lot out of him. It takes a toll out of him. That's why, of course, he wants to get this the life restoring. Get the to the fountain so he can get his life restored, and he needs all the amulets to do that as well. So, so Callie, brilliant stuff. I remember at the time watching it in the cinema, thinking, "My God, that was great." A couple of more creatures, of course. We got the centaur. Callie was worshipped by Leo McKern in the Beatles movie Help. That's true. Callie. Centaur is another creature, which I think is the one that, we see her, Caroline Munro, getting threatened. Maybe she's enjoying it. I don't know. And the griffin. We had a griffin in the movie too. No, nobody. There's another one of these statues of the griffin. These are all produced with the Harryhausen Foundation involvement, actually. So it's really, look nice. I can't really afford a lot of this stuff, but you never know. I might just take a look and get one. And of course, that leads to the climactic fight between the griffin and the centaur, where you get another extensive sequence with both of them then together, which it just so happens I got a little video clip of. And yeah, good stuff. Love it. Fairly climactic battle. Then the Kura's defeated. Amulets are thrown in the water. Crown comes up. Sinbad who could keep the crown for himself, but he's not. He wants to be free. He doesn't want to be the king. Puts it on the Vizier's head. He takes the mask off. He can be seen again. He's going to be okay. Everyone's girlfriends, boyfriends all meet again. They're all happy ever after. Quest completed.
Soundtrack to that movie also helps it too, by a lot.
Yeah, quality soundtracks in all of them, but the first two in particular were by top-notch composers, Oscar-winning composers. So, just fabulous movie. I think, for me, it was my favorite of the three.
Yeah, it is for me.
Yeah, I think watching them again this week a few times, it was at the time it was my favorite because I was 10 when I saw it in the cinema and it left a big impression. I saw the next one too in the cinema. It didn't make quite such a big deal because times had moved on a little, but this one made a huge impression on me. But watching it again, it's not just nostalgia. It is a fabulously made fantasy movie, in my opinion. And that's what counts. Is it not?
Yeah.
Oh, I agree. 100%. I agree.
Yeah. So the poll in the chat, we've only had 11 votes. So anyone that hasn't voted in the poll, get in there and vote on the best monster from that movie before we move on to the third and final one to check out that one. which of course is going to be Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger. No voyage mentioned in the title of this one.
No.
This one I think I've seen the most out of the three, because this one they used to run on cable a lot when I was growing up.
Yes, I mean, I think I've seen both. I being a little bit older, I think I may have seen the first movie the most because I saw it in television so many times before the other two were even made. So probably in terms of volume, I've seen that one the most, first one.
Yeah, well, this one had a problem because it came out the same year as Star Wars.
Yeah, well, the third one's going to have a little bit of an issue in a number of areas. So we've had 13 votes in the poll. Can we get a few more? Anybody? Going. Courtney's here. Good to see you, Courtney. I will end the poll now. Although it's a lower number of votes than the last one. We're also going to be, I'll get started on teeing up the trailer for the third movie because we're going to watch that. So then I'll set a poll up for the third movie. Trailers. So there we go. Sinbad in the Eye of the Tiger. Okay, let's take a look at the results of that poll. Best monster in the Golden Voyage. Public are always right, of course. So we had Kali at 46%, the Centaur at 38%, the Griffin at 15%, and nobody liked the Siren. Poor Siren. I think I cannot argue with Kali. I think I would have had the Siren second for me if I had to pick two in a row, but I just like that creaking wooden thing coming off, and then anyway, something about it just it was different. It was a little bit different because it wasn't like a furry monster kind of thing. So. But yeah, Kali wins, and it is a magnificent scene, the Kali scene. Cool. So let's take a quick look at the trailer for Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger.
These eyes peer out through time, through space, to a land beyond imagination. These are the eyes of the tiger. Follow their gaze back to where legends first began, where fantasy is real and the land of the lost is rediscovered. Journey across the oceans of antiquity to the northern edge of the ancient world. As Sinbad battles with both human
From the depths of the earth, I command you, arise!
and supernatural evil.
Destroy them! Kill Sinbad!
Bewitched him. Let me get the smile from her face!
Filmed in the miracle of Dynamation. Starring Patrick Wayne, Taryn Power, Jane Seymour. From producers Charles H. Schneer and Ray Harryhausen. Come face to face with the prehistoric Trog. See the sorceress bring life to the all-powerful Minotaur.
Eat with the power as only I command you.
See Sinbad battle the saber-toothed tiger, guardian of the secret shrine. Join Sinbad, the greatest of all adventurers, in his biggest adventure of all. Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger.
I had forgotten about the giant walrus.
I am the walrus. Yeah, the giant walrus. I've got a poll up again for best monster from this movie. I've had to leave a few things out. I don't count the baboon as a monster. The prince is a baboon. So that didn't count. I didn't count the giant wasp or the giant walrus either. They're kind of more like creatures that were just made bigger rather than monsters. But the giant walrus was a bit silly. They meant to do it as a yeti, but for some reason changed it to a walrus because they've got that whole frozen area in Hyperborea or however you pronounce that, Hyboria, with the Mediterranean next to it and type of thing. And I guess they wanted an ice. Ray Harryhausen always wanted an ice fight. So he picked the giant walrus. Maybe he felt it was easier than a yeti. Yeti would have been good because of Patrick Troughton's inclusion in the movie, of course. That would have been ironic. But we'll get to that in a minute. So, third movie made in 1977. And unfortunately for it, had to compete with a certain little thing called Star Wars. It had a budget of about $3 million. But still, given it was considered not a big success, it had a box office of $20 million. So, didn't do that badly. Yes, it was a very different look from a Star Wars, which was all the rage. But still did okay. And still had its share of attractions.
Made over 6 times its budget. That's definitely a success.
Oh, yeah. Again, that fantastic poster art we used to get back in the day. Lots of great artwork. This is the Japanese one. I like this one. This is actually a really good one. I like this. And then whatever current language that is, I like that one. So, to the cast. It was directed by a guy called Sam Wanamaker, who was blacklisted during the McCarthy era and moved to Britain. He was a key player in the creation, apparently, of the replica Globe Theatre you can visit when you go to London today. That was his passion project. And he had a bit of a prolific career as an actor and director, despite the blacklist. This, I don't recall. I mean, I saw some of the other movies he directed, and nothing stood out to me as something that I would love, but he did direct this. In terms of the cast, Patrick Wayne played Sinbad, son of John, of course, who appeared in many of his dad's movies as a kid growing up, and then moved into TV years later. Not necessarily the best regarded choice over the years to play Sinbad. I know that Harryhausen wasn't that keen on him himself. He thought it was a good idea casting him, especially as he cast him opposite Tyrone Power's daughter. So he thought maybe the children of two famous stars might work well together. But he said as soon as Patrick opened his mouth, he knew it was a mistake. I don't know whether he meant his accent or just his acting in general. Poor Patrick. Anyway, I mean, he looked okay there, but I never felt he was. I don't think he was a patch on the other two.
No,
in my opinion. Anyway. He did tend to do a lot of this. He couldn't handle the not having the thing he was fighting in front of him as well. Sorry, Patrick, if you're watching. I think he's still alive. I don't. Not being unkind. That's a nice picture. But he did appear in another movie that I recall seeing at the cinema as a kid, The People That Time Forgot. Has anyone seen this?
Yeah.
No, I can't say I have. Not that I recall, anyways.
With Doug McClure next to him there. Pretty good. I like these movies. I used to go to see these movies on Saturday matinees at the cinema. So, People That Time Forgot. Not a bad movie. He actually does look the part in this one.
Yeah.
Playing the baddie, Zenobia, Prince Kasim of the movie's evil stepmother, Margaret Whiting. She was a British actress of many years standing in a lot of stuff, theatre and TV mainly. I don't really recall her from anything else myself, but she got to play the big bad in this one. But playing one of the goodies, Melanthius, the scientist, was Patrick Troughton. So 2 movies in a row, a Doctor Who alumni played a major part. Here he is doing his best foreshadowing of Gandalf the Grey. Really, if you look at it, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
And Patrick Troughton, of course, and he's a scientist in this, although he seems to be a bit of a, I mean, the bit with the giant wasp, you're thinking, what are you doing? What are you doing with this? You're supposed to be a scientist. What are you doing? There's when he had Zenobia shortened. She ends up with the pigeon foot, which I thought was all a very weird sequence. Obviously, I have to say he is still to this day my Doctor Who, because he's the first one I watched as a kid in the late 60s.
Your first Doctor.
He was my first Doctor. You'll never forget your first Doctor. Patrick Troughton. He's unfortunately, a lot of his episodes were wiped. Still many, many missing serials of his. Absolutely loved him. I mean, it doesn't mean he's my favorite Doctor, but he's my Doctor. The first
Mine's
one.
Tom Baker, and he's also my favorite. So.
Well, there you go. He also, though, had appeared in he appeared in Jason and the Argonauts as Phineas, which is obviously an earlier Harryhausen movie. So he had some track record working with Ray Harryhausen. And it's great. It was great to see Patrick Troughton in something, because after Doctor Who, it's sometimes tough for those guys to get stuff.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't the woman who played Zenobia also the stepmother in Bewitched?
Margaret Whiting. Somebody in the chat might be able to tell us, because
I don't think that was.
I could have sworn that was the case. I could be wrong on
I'm
that.
not sure about that one. I don't think she was.
No, she wasn't.
But Queen Glamazona is pointing rightly that Sam Wanamaker was a veteran actor. He was in hundreds of things. He was in Superman 4. I was trying not to mention that, though.
Yeah, a lot of us try to forget that movie was made.
Quest for
There's only
Peace.
3 Superman.
The Quest for Peace. It's the canon one. Come on, we'll be doing it one day on Canon Film Club.
I know. You're thinking Agnes Moorehead. That's who.
Okay.
That's who played Zadora.
Patrick Troughton was also in The Omen too, so he did do a lot of good stuff. I do love Patrick Troughton as an actor. Lovely guy, lovely human being, great actor, and a great Doctor. Also in the movie, because we didn't have Caroline Munro, but we had a couple of interesting girls. We had Taryn Power, Dione, daughter of Melanthius, also daughter of actor Tyrone Power. Didn't really have a prominent career of any kind that I can think of other than this movie. But, she did pretty good in this one. So she was regularly almost not clothed in this movie. So, can't argue with it, really. So, Jane Seymour, however, had a very prominent career, still does. Princess Farah, Prince Kasim's intended spouse, till he's turned into a baboon.
No, it's his sister.
His sister, sorry. Beg your pardon. My notes here. I'm trying to read my notes without my glasses. The delightful Ms. Seymour, of course, who's thankfully still alive too. Because many of these people are no longer with us, unfortunately. She's alive and kicking, a long career, way too long to go into now, but we will always remember her as, of course, there she is. Nice. As the wonderful Solitaire in Live and Let Die.
Yeah.
Hard to argue with that, really, isn't it? So she was a great...
I always forget she's in that movie.
Yeah, great addition to this movie. A bit of glamour. Not going to go over the rest of the cast because there's loads of them, but we must give a shout out to Peter Mayhew, who was uncredited, played the guy inside the Minotaur suit when it was a suit. So he plays the Minotaur. Peter Mayhew, of course, as we all know and love, is Chewbacca. So he played the Minotaur, uncredited in this. So the monsters in this, now a lot of people criticized this movie for kind of not having necessarily such great effects and monsters. A little bit of recycling going on, maybe not quite as memorable. It starts off with a scene with these three ghouls, kind of withered skeletal humanoids with insect faces and bug eyes and horns, which I thought was quite an effective sequence. Kind of recycling a bit of the skeletons though, in a sense.
Yeah, but it wouldn't surprise me if that scene he wanted to do skeletons again and someone higher up said, "You've done it
yeah,
a few times now. How about something else?" And he probably went, "Okay, I'll do the same scene just with different monsters."
Yeah. Well, let's take a look at that because I do have a clip of this. I managed to produce a clip that we can watch. These took a hell of a lot of doing this week for copyright stuff. I had to really work on them for about a day. These clips.
Destroy them! Kill Sinbad!
I did like that way of getting rid of them, though, crushing them with the logs. It was pretty good. Always you had to think about, I think, for Ray Harryhausen, how am I going to kill these? Skeleton falls off something, breaks, etc., etc. How are we going to kill them? That was a bit of excitement early in the movie, but you've got Sinbad in the city of Charak, I think it's called, looking to marry the princess, Jane Seymour's princess, but he discovers her brother has been turned into a baboon. Why he should care, I don't know. So he's a baboon. So what? Zenobia did this because she's an evil, scheming bitch. She wants to be queen herself, I think.
Wants to make her son.
To make her son the king. She did.
Yeah.
Well, she'd be the queen mother then. Yeah, because he's hanging around with her the whole movie, the son. The only way to restore Cassim, though, is to find this Greek sage, Melanthius, played by Troughton. And of course, she then goes out, Zenobia sets out to hinder him in his voyage to do all this. The baboon, of course, as he regularly points out by writing on the wall and other things, is that he is Cassim. Quite big for a baboon in this. He gets to play chess with his sisters. So, yeah. Another one of the creatures is Zenobia's sidekick, the Minotaur, animated by the clockwork heart that she puts in it, which is, fairly effective. There's the giant wasp, which, again, as I say, I think Patrick Troughton. Why would you do that? You don't need to do that experiment. What are you doing? Let's say, actually, I do have a clip of the Minotaur. I don't have all of these because I was I ran out of time, but I do have some Minotaur clips, so we can take a look at that.
With the power as only I command you. Perfect. A colossus of bronze and Minotaurs. We'll head into them. Minotaur.
Yeah, I mean, it has no agency other than she orders it around a lot. It's just a pure servant. I like this though. Sailor on a stick. Now, this is the bit that always a lot of people comment on, and I find fascinating. She uses the Minotaur to remove the block so she can get into this area, the shrine area, and sacrifices it basically.
He's done his work.
Which, given how strong he is, and it's like she sacrifices him just for that. I mean, she could have said, right, okay, get out of the way and go around and push from the other side. She seems to be like, nah, I've just given up my big golden metal monster that can defend me and do lots of stuff. Yeah,
that's not going to come back and bite me in the ass.
That'll never bite me in the ass later. So, yeah, that was one of the moments. There was a few inconsistencies in the movie like that. They were like, I mean, it's a fantasy movie, I know, but you're like, nah, would you do that? No. Like the wasp thing. No, you wouldn't do that. Of course you wouldn't. But yeah, I'll just give up my servant like that. The giant walrus, which was, I guess, I mean, it's this Hyperbia. I can never pronounce that word.
I kind of wonder too, and I'd have to look this up. There was a
Hyperborea. That's it. I can never pronounce.
There was a Toho movie, that the main monster guy in a rubber suit style was a giant walrus.
Oh, probably, yeah.
No, I know there was. I have it. I just can't remember. I gotta look at.
Yeah, but this is the polar regions of Hyperborea, and it's kind of like I mean, there's nothing mystical about this or magic. It's just a big walrus that happens to be twice the size of humans. Yeah, Zenobia's seagull's foot is quite funny. That whole part is funny. Enough of the potion has been used up by Patrick Troughton that she hasn't got enough to make her turn herself back into fully human. She's left with the pigeon foot or seagull foot.
Yeah, the movie I'm thinking of is called Gorath.
Yeah, Soul Assassin's got it. Gorath. Yeah. So Big Walrus. I am the
That was
walrus.
62, so that came out before they did this. I wonder if that had any sort of.
Oh, maybe. And the way this was filmed, a lot of it was with snow effects, very dark blue, nighttime, so it covered up a lot of inconsistencies you might get with this kind of filming with the stop motion. So it kind of blurred out a lot of it. It was fine, but it was because it was just a bunch of sailors fighting a big walrus. I don't feel it was that exciting, really, But it was originally intended to be a Yeti, according to Harryhausen. Of course, Patrick Troughton's doctor, famously, in two of my favorite stories, faced up to the Yeti in The Abominable Snowman and then the one in the London Underground. So that would have been ironic if there'd been a Yeti in it. I think that's just the kind of thing I think is funny. So a good guy monster, though, was the Troglodyte. See, my pronunciation's shit. Troglodyte, Trog for short. Kind of humanoid monster in the Hyperborea, and turns out to be a good guy. Crucially, for later in the film, and then the final monster, I guess you could say, was the Smilodon, or saber-toothed cat, which again isn't really a magical monster. It's a frozen saber-tooth in ice that our witch queen decides to free from the ice and inhabit herself at the end when she's about to get beat. So it's a creature a real creature more than a monster. I don't know if that makes any sense. So they face off at the end with Trog protecting the human friends against the saber-toothed tiger. It's a fairly good fight. I don't think it quite matches the some of the previous ones, but
Definitely not up to the Cali fight.
exactly, yeah. But I do have as my final clip to share some of that sequence at the end.
But when you're 7, this is the most awesome thing in the world.
That's right. Yeah. You're like, I was a bit older. When I saw this, by the time I saw this in the cinemas, I was like 14. So I was like, nah, that's nice. 73, Golden Voyage was different because I was only 10 and I loved the shit out of it. Still pretty good though. That's the stance Patrick Wayne does. Every one of these scenes.
And what we have here is the first recorded instance of both misogyny and animal abuse.
That's yeah, that's right. And bestiality to a point. Furries are involved. And the good guy loses. This is a shame. Yeah, you do feel bad for him. Poor Trog gave himself up for a bunch of humans who just appeared about a day before.
Yeah.
So, and the seagull, as was mentioned, the seagull potion, which creates and miniaturizes and then reverse miniaturizes people. When used in Zenobia, gave her a seagull foot, which was kind of funny. But there it was. Now, I didn't delve into the plots of these too much. It was more about who's in them and the monsters, because otherwise the show would be 18 hours long. But I think that was a fair overview of.
I mean, who's to say we can't always come back and do the individual movies or?
Well, I'd like to do Clash of the Titans one day.
Yeah, I'd be good for that.
I'd like to do Clash of the Titans, being the last one, really, and having a big budget, big cast, and some fabulous effects. I'd like to do that one, I think, one day.
Well, he had some involvement in the remake of Mighty Joe Young, too.
Yeah, but he really
he
had
wasn't like a supervisor, but yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't leading these movies anymore, so to speak. Yeah. Which I think he was fine with that. He enjoyed that. He was a mentor by that time. He was running classes, preserving his collection, trying to promote stop motion animation around the world to keep it going, So that was good. Well, if they'd made there's a question. So we wish they'd made a fourth Sinbad. What if they made it today in the spirit of Harryhausen? Would that even be possible? Is there anybody out there who could do that?
Well, that's a good question. I would imagine there is, but it's not something you could say with certainty.
Yeah, and is there a public appetite for it? Because these films all did pretty well at the time.
If they made it today, they wouldn't do it in stop motion. They would do it all CGI.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be anywhere near as good.
I think Emperor's NM says, if only they had catnip back then. So there they were. There is still a poll running. If anyone wants to vote in it, it's only got 9 votes so far. Anyone still watching who wants to vote in that poll is the best monster in this movie. Give it a couple of minutes before we close that. I think we've said it. I mean, my favorite if I was to order them, I'd say Golden Voyage, Seventh Voyage, Eye of the Tiger would be the order.
Yeah. The only reason I have any fondness for Eye of the Tiger is because I saw it in the theater.
Yeah. I felt it was a bit of a mess compared to the others. It kind of meandered a lot.
Kind of makes me wonder if there was more studio meddling with that one compared to the older ones.
Possibly. And I don't think the creatures in general were as effective Whereas the Golden Voyage, I mean, the Cali bit alone is just that's like movie history. That scene.
Yeah.
First
I
one,
see people on the regular posting that clip on Twitter all the time.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's stop motion in general is there are still people doing it, and it is getting done in various properties, but it's big budget stop motion. I can't think of any. Is there some? I don't know.
Not really, no. I mean, as Daswolfen was saying earlier, even cell animation's kind of going by the wayside.
Yeah. Harryhausen at one point wanted to make Sinbad Goes to Mars. Well, interestingly, Mars Attacks did contain some Harryhausen tributes in that movie. So there's been a few people have paid tribute to him over the years. I draw the line at seagull-footed women. Well, I don't know if I do, really. I don't know if I do. Anyway, I will end this poll. It's only had a few votes in it. Where are all the voters gone? There'll be a 4 a.m. dump, which will change the result of this poll. We're still counting. So I'm going to end the poll. It's only had a few votes, but maybe that reflects the interest in this particular movie as opposed to the others. While we're doing that, any final words, John, and anything you want to plug before we go? Because we do have to go, unfortunately.
Obviously, I'm a huge Ray Harryhausen fan, so these movies hold a special place in my heart. I mean, not as much as like Clash of the Titans or Jason the Argonauts, but definitely, up there in the movies I like. And as far as anything I want to push, I have a couple of books out there. So
you do, I know.
Yeah.
In fact, if I could reach over, I would grab it. Don't go away.
Which I happen to have a copy right here.
Right, yes. Oh, I can't show it because my bloody camera's not working. What am I doing? You've got it there, right? Yeah.
I've got one out. Yeah, this is
holding
the paperback one.
I'm holding it in my hand.
I hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Tomb of Thunder, and if I wasn't working so damn hard prepping shows and making videos, I would have finished it by now. Yeah, get the Tomb of Thunder. Go check out John's other work. And obviously, John has got, as well as his own channel, you'll see him on Pop Culture Minefield and all over the place. Thank you, John, for being here, mate. Really appreciate it. Imp, my friend, thank you for suggesting this and
man,
allowing me the chance to watch these movies again.
These are some of my favorite movies of all time. Just I have a lot of nostalgia for them. A lot of just good, warm, fond memories because, like I said, I usually saw them around holidays. Thanksgiving and Christmas. Just memories of being at my grandmother's house and watching these, and they also really influenced my DMing style in Dungeons and Dragons too.
All right,
in a lot of ways.
Cool. No, I have similar memories. Although being a little bit older, I remember watching these. Certainly, the first movie and the other earlier Harryhausen stuff were on constant rotation during holidays. Those were golden times. Golden times, yeah. And I think it shaped all of our movie tastes going forward for fantasy, science fiction, stuff like that.
Yeah.
The skeleton fights definitely. When I do skeleton fights in D&D, they definitely take a lot from what I saw as a kid from Ray.
Well, I mean, they even got to a point when it came to D&D, the Minotaur, they turned around and made a specific creature. They didn't call it the Minotaur.
Yeah.
It might have just been like the bronze golem or something like that, but it was essentially that.
Yeah.
Indeed. Anyway, thanks, Imp. Anything you want to plug?
Yeah. Tomorrow, I'm not entirely sure what's going on yet. Tuesday's switched from a gaming stream to doing something on Mad's channel. And as of a little while ago, Mad was saying he had food poisoning the other day. So who knows what's going to be going on tomorrow. He may be fine and we may do what he has planned. And if not, we'll just game.
All right, good.
Friday, I'll be on Ascendant Art podcast as usual.
Cool.
And then tonight, I think me and Slender are gaming. Not sure if we're streaming, but I'm pretty sure we will be doing a game stream on Thursday.
Nice. Well, look out for that. And as I say, I really appreciate you being here, mate, and sharing these love of these movies with us.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it, buddy. The final poll: Best Monster in Eye of the Tiger. The Smilodon, Sabertooth, 44%. The Troglodyte, 33%. The Minotaur, 22%. And the Ghouls, 0%. Seems fair enough to me. So thank you, everyone, for voting in that. As for me, I will be on Comics Division Monday Night Meltdown later tonight, I expect. Tomorrow night, Toxic Tuesday on Nick Visor's channel. I think we're doing the movie Black Dynamite. Friday, Ascendant Art. No bourbon and boarding this Saturday because it's a bit of a break, and for Brahma and I, the NHL is on break for this Four Nations thing. I may not be doing a live stream next week because I've got a lot of stuff to do, but also I'm trying to rebuild the studio. So I really need to switch off for a while in order to do that. But I've got working on a couple of videos too. I've got a video I'm working on about a great Korean show I just watched called the Trauma Team. Trauma Code, sorry. Anyway, Korean show, which is really good. I've enjoyed it immensely, and there'll be other stuff. So thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you to the mods, D-Bud, Davina, anyone else that was modding. Thanks to everyone for your wonderful chats. Thank you very much to and Razy Fingers over on Rumble. I saw you in the chat there. Thank you for being over there. Appreciate it, mate. Thanks for the super chats, etc. Please like, share, subscribe if you're not a subscriber. I'm trying to get to 1,900. I'm just 5 away. And also take a look at my memberships. As Christian was saying, there is goodies available at the top tier, and if we can get enough members, I'll start doing member streams. So please look at that. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Hope you have a great night, and we'll see you again very soon. So till then, take care.